Okay, so good evening, everyone, and I welcome every one of us today to another session of the Echoes of Africanism podcast. Yeah, and my apologies for keeping us waiting. So we are going to continue the Yajud series. As we know, we've had series of sessions in previous past weeks. So today it's a pleasure to have every one of you join us here for this discussion. And today's discussion is centered on promoting women's land ownership rights in Tanzania and the role of women's legal center, like the WALAC, as a legal empowerment NGO. So our distinguished guest today is Mr. Norbeth Sixbert, who is a researcher and development practitioner focused on gender equality, land justice, and access to justice in Africa. He is the author of Promoting Women's Land Ownership Rights in Tanzania, the role of WALAC as a legal empowerment NGO. So it's an honor to have you here, Mr. Norbert. Please say hello to everyone.
Thank you so much, Miss Anna, Madam Moderator, for having me today. And it's such an honor, and I'm so grateful for having me today as you describe me and introduce me to the people. Of course, I am Norbeth Sixbert from Tanzania, and I'm an author of this work when it comes to discuss about the role of non-government organization, particularly Women's Legal Aid Center, WILAC, in promoting women's land ownership rights. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't know, could you turn your camera on? Like, is it possible?
Yes, I'm trying my best to do so, but I think I have any issues with it earlier today, so I'm trying my best to fix it. My laptop has an issue to turn on.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Let's dive right into the discussion. So, like the very first question I would just want to ask you is that what really prompted your writing, like your interest in writing on women's land ownership? Like, what prompted that? Yeah, it started, and I'm sure it started as a thought, and before you went to writing. So, what prompted that?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Absolutely. For such a good question. One thing that drive me to think about women's land ownership rights, it was something that begins inside me. I was so, and I'm still impressed with women's movement and seeing women's success. It's something that drive me to study more, learning more about them. But apart from the successful, there is the number of women who needs help, especially from men, so they can know them, describe them, learning something from them. So apart from all success women have got, but there is number of women, they just to be uplifted from where they were to somewhere else. But when it comes to that process, there is something that women are lacking, especially when it comes to the development matters. And particular when it comes to those aspects of development, either economic, political, socially, culturally, there is something in development that is an item which when they are given as a women, they'll step from where they are to somewhere else. I checked and I picked up something called land, where I see most of women I encountered some challenges when it comes to owning healthy or being granted to take part or piece of land so they can use it for their own development, which is totally when it comes to the issue of having such kind of piece of land. There is a process when they want to obtain your having such a piece of land. There are procedures which is coming into integrate into the legal system where women are supposed to go under to make sure that they are granted that piece of land. So that drives me to see, okay, women are such a beautiful creatures. So for them to step from where they are to another place, especially to capture the aspect of development, it's better for them to be taking someone who expertise either in the legal process or in legal systems or in other means. So that has come to my mind because of what women are doing regretting in our daily lives.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. That sounds you're actually doing a beautiful thing. And I must say thank you for that. Because not a lot of let's say system give women the chance to, even own a land. And even in some tribe, I don't know, probably it's a taboo or something, but you are doing a great job with that. So
Yes,
yeah,
thank you.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. On your experience, in the field of, working with NGOs and stuff. So, like, is the gap, is it caused more by a lack of awareness among women, or is a lack of enforcement by local authorities? Because there's a gap in the policy, in the legal framework. There's this gap that's not allowing, like, there's this barrier, administrative barrier or other barriers. So this gap or barriers, so what do you think is at the causes mostly?
Yes, absolutely. There is a gap that caused the more by lack of awareness among women or lack of enforcement by authorities, especially local ones, the central one. Um, the gap results from different factors, as I mentioned, might be a lack of awareness, and especially that is the main one because women's in Tanzania, they are unaware of their rights when it comes to, especially in landslides. So for them to be granted land, there is a procedure to be followed, especially in the legal system. So some of them, they are not aware the whole process of how they will go to so that they can be granted that piece of land so they can be entitled in a piece of paper where their name appeared at one of them can have the right to access it to use the piece of land. So many of women are unaware of their legal rights actually. And when it comes to their local authorities, sometimes lack of capacity or prioritize of traditional norms. It's one of the gaps that appeared in the legal enforcement because we we actually believe that most of local authorities they are much aware of legal system, legal enforcement matters, but the gaps come how capable they are to help women so at the end of the day they can be entitled to access to use it to be granted a piece of land but it seems there is a limit number of them who are much aware and are capable to do a lot of stuff when it comes to their legal systems and also some of them they prioritize traditional norms.
Mm.
In Tanzania, there is a large number of ethical groups here, almost 100, and some local authority, they do believe that in their communities, their traditional their traditional beliefs comes first. So they don't believe in issues of women to inherit it, to have the land, because they believe at the end of the day, women, they'll be into another family, they'll bury a child, they'll be melody. So when they shift it to the other family member, they don't have to inherit or having a land, because they'll move to the other family. So instead of giving them their right than human, because women can do a lot of stuff. So they think this is not right for women to have a piece of land. So that's why they protest so much more come to the traditional norms. So the best thing is addressing both awareness and enforcement is really critical to closing the gap. Yeah.
Wow. 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 Thank you so much for that response. So you like according to you, so women like they lack the awareness, like they don't know about their rights, even to own a land. Oh, that's quite interesting. But I think all of that is changing now with when you have people like
Yes,
you,
yes.
like
Uh, yes, at least now they knowing about it, about land of fish, but still there's a small number of women. I think that's why NGOs like we like are supposed to be uplifted and highlighted into the public so they can be known for their work. So for women with such issue, they can go there and find some help when it comes to the matter of legal enforcement, legal issues, especially come for the women when they're facing the issue of land issues. Yeah.
all right. Since now that you mentioned them, we lack. So how do they handle cases where customary law directly contradicts the statutory law?
Yes. In Tanzania, we do have a various of law, but when it comes to the customer laws and the statutory laws, customer laws are those laws that are based on traditional practices and social norms. In that law are based more for those who believe in traditional norms and still are practices. For instance, for those who are getting melody through traditional ways. So at the end of the day, for instance, say one sponsors passed, especially man has passed away, um, the process of inheritance or providing the things that they both been fighting or harvested through their marriage life. There is a process of giving a widow that whole things that they harvested together between themselves. So they use a traditional customer laws to give the right for that women. And other issues when it comes to the statutory laws, especially applicable to those who are getting married through religious, who believe in religious, especially for Islamics and Christianity. But for Christianity, we use Indian Succession Act, which are particular much more suitable for both genders, and for the same appeared to Islamic laws they used, but at least in statutory law, the laws have been much aware when it comes to the gender equity for both men and women compared to um, customer laws. So I think the main issue needed to harmonizing the statutory and customer laws, and also I needed to train local authorities and implementing accountability system that are much more critical. so that we can reduce the dependence, especially for NGOs like We Lucky, when and we can promote the long-term equity for both men and women. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's very true because we need to really educate the local authorities because if they're not well educated here now, we're going to have a very big problem. Yeah, so thank you for that. Okay, your paper mentions like a multifaceted approach. So can you like break down the balance between providing direct legal aid and you know, providing a community-wide education? So can you break down the balance between those two subjects?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Balancing between direct legal aid and community-wide education. Um, Direct legal aid addresses individual cases immediately, and for some cases doesn't even need to have a jury or a number of people expertise, but for some cases needs immediately solution. So that a direct aid will help much more to deal with it. While community-wide education, it's very crucial when it comes to rises of awareness and the shift of social norms. So I think this together, direct legal aid and community-wide education, both immediate impact and long-term changes. As I said before, direct legal aid addresses individual cases immediately. For some cases, I have witnessed it during my research. When I conducted this research, I had the opportunity to attend one of court hearing session. There are some cases doesn't even need it to take a lot of people or starting to give education to a majority of number to know that, okay, this case that needs this and this and this. But for a person who affected it at that moment needs the direct legal aid that will address the, her issues compared it to community-wide education. But for that cases, will give much more attention to the legal providers, knowing that, okay, this case, after being solved, they need to take it into a community where they can raise awareness so that at the end of the day, people they be aware if there's a cases that will happen in the future, they'll know how they can figure it out and see how they can work together. So together, they can create both immediate impact and long-term changes between direct aid and community-wide education.
Okay. So in your opinion, um both approach actually works. They work hand in hand together, right?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Okay. Um this well, like the NGO, when they provide their services, is it will I say, yeah, it's NGO. Is it totally free, like to the women coming to them and accessible to like anyone, like regardless of the status, the connection, anything, like how do they really work?
Yeah, thank you for such a good question. Actually, We Like Here is freely NGO. Every single woman can be there, regardless of their status. It doesn't matter. You have any connection, you have anybody you know in that organization. When you go there, you'll get anything filled. But the cost will come when for an individual issues because they can't provide you or give an allowance for you to move from your house to their office. Actually, it will be based on you yourself. So for them, they provide legal aid freely without any charges. So when you go there to the office, you'll be happy regardless your status, either you are from low income or high income. What they truly believe is helping women. That's why their organization named Women's Legal Aid Center. They are there especially for women because they understand women face a lot of challenges. So instead of giving them the hard time or asking them for fees or any charges, I think it will give them more hard time because most of the women who are going there, they need a full support, especially legal aid. So for them, they believe in helping women to solve their problem, especially those who facing legal issues. Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's great. That's great. They are doing wonderful in that aspect because not everyone will have you know the access, the education to a legal uh even legal advice or even legal support when it comes to an issue like that. So yeah, it's good. So like how your work now with NGOs and local leaders. So how has it changed your yeah how has it changed your success rates compared to working in isolation? Like how has multilateral engagement, your engagement with government, with NGOs, how has it changed your success rates in advocating for women ownership of land in Tanzania? So has it really helped working with NGOs, working with governments? It might not be at the top level, but at that simple level. So how can you say it has really, like, is there a success rate to that?
Yes, yes. Um, actually, um, working especially with angels, like it's changed my ideology, especially when coming of thinking, especially thinking about women, and something that changed, especially when it comes to the finding out of the sources that related to women's in to different aspects. But I came and realized that the most important things so as in any issue, in any aspect related to women to be success, collaboration is one of the important things because everything that either you read, you heard about it, there's something that I'm missing, which is totally lead to failure of a certain staff. So I realized there's something that missing, which is collaboration with these stakeholders, either government, NGOs, and local leaders, because all things that have been doing to the community, we are doing for the community. It's not like we are doing for the trees or whatever it is, but it's directly to the peoples. So collaborating with all stakeholders, all institutions, it's real matter because every single entity is depending in one another. Because as an NGO, you can't work it alone. You have to collaborate with government, local leaders, and all of the collaboration increases legitimacy because people they can't legitimize you as an individual or an organization, an NGO. You go there to the community and asking to help them. How will it trust you? how they will legitimize you, like, oh, this is an NGO went came to our community and it want to help us. So through collaborate with government, because they know government more than NGO, because NGO is not always there for the community, like having a building. It might be in somewhere else, but the aids or help are delivered to somewhere else. So working with a government, which is everywhere in the community, it really give you a very beautiful honor and they welcome you to their community. And the community themselves are starting knowing that, oh, this is an NGO being introduced to us with the government and the local leaders. So through their local leaders, it really build the trust between the NGOs and the community. And also it will be easy to gain resources because most of the resources are being found in the community. So it will be easier for NGO, either any entity that is working with the community, to get resources, because most of this being there because we are doing working with the community. And also it will give the acceptance, because every entity, institution, even an individuals, we all like an acceptance. You can't go somewhere working with the people who are not accepted you. It will be something that is awful. So acceptance, it's starting of everything. When they accept you, it will give you a good direction from where to start and to end. So by engaging, collaborating with any kind of entity, institution, I think, especially when it comes to women, I think as you, a woman, you understand how hard it is for women to accept someone from nowhere and come to you and asking, okay, ma, I just want to help you. I have a lot of tasks. Take this money. Like, how comes you want to help him without knowing like where you're coming from? So it will be easier to use assistance and ensure women's, especially when it comes to the women's light, are more sustainably and protected. I think you understand,
Yeah.
you get my idea when it comes to issues of women. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. Yeah, that's beautiful anyways. Yeah, because you know our gender, my gender. Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
also they've been working with them for some time, so I need to understand them much more. So that in at the moment I conducted such a just a short story, uh, most of the women were like, "How could you taking this issue serious and you are just a money and a lot of money out there they want to downfall us, and you among of them you came to us and just want to help us? How comes you want to display our issues to the community knowing that women are facing such kind of issues?" I was like, you know, of course, I understand by myself the gender of men, how we are, but not all men are being there to traumatize women. But some of us, we are there to helping women and knowing that, and we also we're doing a lot of work to educate other men to so as they can be able, knowing that women are not such a creature that are out there and had nothing to do with anything that is out in this world. So I did a lot of stuff to educating them, like, no, I'm not sad. I'm not just like other men you have been thinking or been seeing. So yeah, at the end of the day, actually been working directly with an NGOs which are working directly with the women, at least gave them the idea and gave me the acceptance to them, like, okay, he is working with this organization working with only women. Okay, now we can trust him and discuss with him a lot of issues, especially as I picked it land issues. Yeah, that is where I give me a relief moment to sit down with a lot of women and discussing the issues of land. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really smart of you, though. That's smart. It's very smart move.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, beyond legal aid, like what other specific structural reforms are most urgent to ensure that gender equity in land governance is sustainable rather than dependent on NGO intervention? Like, what is this long-term solution that can really make this inclusion when it comes to, land inheritance, even giving women inheritance in land? I don't know. It looks strange, but I think in this our generation now, things ought to be changing. I'm sure it has started changing. So, what structural reforms do you think are most urgent right now?
Oh, yes. And that's the things that we always looking forward when it comes to the issues you want to see. Okay, you address this problem, and what next? What you have found, so what do you want to be changed? Actually, there is a most urgent structural reform for sustainable gender equity. Um, and one thing, actually provided some of them, but starting with implementing accountability system, because
Okay.
legal is a system, it's not just something that's out there. So the accountability either as an individual, the whole legal system being accountable and knowing that okay, women deserve and it's their right. Actually, there is a books that you call that all laws out there being written, people sit down and forming a lot of issues that will protect women, but at the end of the day, the system itself doesn't even be accountable to ensure that women their rights are protected. So for the legal system or any system to be accountable will lead to the relief of the protection of the women's rights. But when it comes to the gender equity, also, we are not left men behind. We know they are part of this journey because without them, maybe there would be the problem we discussed right now. But by putting them part of this issue, it will be easy to promote a long-term equity and also training local authorities because at the end of the day, we need expertise who are working closely with the people, the community, and who knowing much more about them. So training them, as previous I said, there is a limited capacity of local authority when it comes to the legal issues. So by training them, it will be either for them to ability their capacity of knowing much more about legal issues. I know there are professionals who are working with legal system, but they are not much enough to step into every corner of the in Tanzania. So for teaching them, training local authority who are working with people directly to be easier for them to spread the awareness about the issues which are truly matter for them. And also, the last thing but not least is harmonizing customer laws and statutory laws. As we know, these two laws have been integrated in one way or another. As statutory law, the statutory law pave the way, showing that there is a gender equity, but in customer law, there is a gap still knowing uh, there is a favoritism of prioritize much more men than women, so that these reforms reduce dependence on the NGOs because we will not waiting for an NGOs to come to the community, starting fighting for the people's right. Through this, will promote a long-term equity. Yes, and that's what I believe. I don't think there will be any other way actually when it comes to the resources that will come later, but harmonizing statutory and customer laws, training local authorities, and implementing accountability system are critical when it comes to the most urgent structural reform for sustainable gender equity. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Wow, I'm getting a lot from this conversation. Yeah, and I'm really glad to be your host today and to really
Yes, also, yeah, thank you so much. And I'm sure honored you to be my host.
All right, so let's talk about these local leaders like our chiefs, kings, local government chairman. So when you are engaging with these people, who, especially those that uphold these traditional customary laws, what strategies have proven most effective, or what strategies would you even apply when you want to win their support for women's land rights? Those, those chief and baales that they're always like, no, things must go the way it has been. You cannot change. So, like, what strategy do you think are the most effective in winning those people to support this notion of women's land rights?
Um, yes, absolutely. For the first time, engaging with those local leaders, especially my concern was with male community leaders, uh, because actually women be, couldn't be having any issue when it comes to helping other women, but the village elders and male community leader, mostly of them are tied to traditional norms, and which is very hardest part of me to deal with them, because most of them they had a notion of women, like women are not able to own something in the family. So the easiest way to engage them and making them adaptive or easy for both of us to spread awareness on issues of women's when it comes to the land issues. I started by putting a lot of energy, especially when it comes to the respectful dialogue. Having a dialogue with them, knowing what the real matter, what the real issue for them. Like, okay, we had a very insightful conversation. They told me a lot of things, like they don't trust you women's when it comes to the ownership. Like at the end of the day, they'll get married, or they will sell it, or they will not have any a users of it, which is total different to the mindset of women. As you are a woman, I think that is not even ideology when it comes to your mind. Like, how can a woman have a usability of this piece of land, and at the end of the day, when I get married, or I will put it aside or sell it to someone else, which is totally wrong, because you are a woman and you need to develop. And one of the things that are useful for the development is land. Either we'll use it for
Mm-hmm.
cultivation, either to build a house so you can rent it. Yeah, you can use it in with land has a different purpose or useful when it comes to the development. So I had this respectful dialogue with them. We had a very beautiful conversation, and they share a lot of issues, and I understand them what their true fearness, and then showing community-wide benefits of women's land rights. I started showing them how they'll get benefited when women get their rights when the ownership of the land. We do believe that when you educate a single woman, it's absolute a massive issue. It's like you educate the whole community. Yes, because woman, when you educated woman, at the end of the day, woman will share her knowledge with other people, and it's not a single one, it's a majority of people. I think you understand that as you are a woman, you had a knowledge, have an idea. At the end of the day, you won't keep it as you own it. You'll share with others. You have a family, have sisters, have brothers, nephew, cousin. You'll sit with them down and tell them what you know. And that I believe, and that I told the whole story about women empowerment, the story of successful women, and see how they'll be benefited when women own land, granted land, entitled to have a piece of land, because we believe land is one of the aspects of the development. And
Yes.
women, when it comes to the development, is a strong pillar. He play a crucial part of development in every community. We understand it in every single. Just take an example within a family. Women play a big role within a family, as wake up in the morning, preparing for a child to go to school, having a cleaning up the house, see housekeeping, a lot of stuff, knowing how your sponsors will go to the work, do a lot of activities women are doing. There's just like a superhuman when it comes to the nation, like, oh, let's give him title for Spider Woman. you know, he took a lot of responsibility to the family. So he she doesn't even end up to the family level. He get it into the community level. Just imagine, let's take an example. There is a general meeting in a school, and a, a child are needed to bring their parents. So the first things come to their head. We all know the person to deliver the message at the general meeting in the school is the mother, because she had the time to be there. When you give her that message to father, knowing that he won't be there, he will deal with the other stuff. So the things come, okay, let me go tell my mom tomorrow, maybe tomorrow the school will have a meeting. So, and it doesn't matter how much time a woman will have, but it will provide her time to be there. And even there is a call to the community, she'll be there to make sure that he take part of something. So showing community wide benefits of women's, but into the aspect of women's land rights, and also ensure that using influential advocates to mediate discussion are key. So passions and respected engagement build trust and acceptance. Yes.
Okay, so mainly the key point here is like discussion. You have to discuss with these people, and when you are going to discuss with them, you need to be prepared mentally. You need to be very.
Yes, yes.
Mm. This is quite interesting because the conversation we had with Mr. Gerard on his work on agriculture, it's actually related to this because you can imagine women don't have access to land. So how would they even, pick up that agricultural aspect? And it's linking directly to, economic development of the society at large. Imagine a woman now that is probably, let's say, a full housewife, and she wants to, just even farm in her garden at home, and she does not even have access to it, or even she even wants to like go into the agricultural work and plant some greens, just do things, go into fishing, and land having a land is gonna be the problem that will stop us. So I think this conversation is Very important because this is just like the foundation, yeah, the foundation of agricultural prosperity in our society. So I'm so glad you came up with this article, and I'm so glad we're talking about this. I'm so glad people are going to hear this and even be enlightened the more. Yes, and women to know like that they actually have the right to hold land. They have the right, it's like it is their right.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Men and the same to women. That's why we don't want to leave anyone behind. Land is land to every single person. It doesn't matter who you are. You are a man or a woman. But when it comes to the land, it's everyone's right. Yeah, that's why we refight because we don't want to left behind the women like thinking they have nothing to do with it. Yes.
thank you so much, Mr. Norbert. So, like, if there's a word that you're going to leave with us today, before Mr. Dennis will like give us his own thoughts on what we've been discussing so far. So, if there's one thing you'd like to leave with us today, what would that be?
Um, yes. Um, the things I would like to live and before end of the session, which is truly important, as my case was in such organization. We like first of all, I like it to give shout out to them for giving me opportunity to conduct my research through the organization, which they are doing a really good stuff and can educate families and community leaders about statutory rights, seeking meditation to harmonize the customary practices with the laws. You know, litigation is usually the last resort when it comes to the solving the issues cases of land right or especially related to women's, and they make sure they ensure that it complies while respecting local customs because at the end of the day, as Africans, we do have our own traditional practices which we don't want to abandon it. Still, we respect them, but while we are respecting them, but they don't have to cross the line to give any individual hard time to proceed with usual life. Um, yes, the most important things, I think, is to come together as
Mm.
we are working so much. It doesn't matter you are an individual. You have a group of people, either you are registered formal or informal, just let us join together because at the end of the day, unit is much more powerful when it comes to any issues. It does matter even in this aspect of women's or I mean, but at the end of the day, we are looking as something that we need to see in the future is men and women. They're in the same place. It, and we don't want to see women they are down there like they are watching women they're always shining like why they are up out there and celebrating their success, why women they're down there like crying, suffering, like they had no any other opportunity for them to be like them because at the end of the day, even in religious belief, we believe we are all equal. We were created with the same Almighty God. So why in this scenario, in any cases that down here on earth, we just trying to see women, they have nothing to do. Because at the end of the day, women play a big role in our lives. It doesn't matter that is the truth. We don't have to fight over the truth. You understand? So the most important, of course, the debate of women's there is a lot of debate about women's, but at the end of the day, we don't want to end up in discussion. We just to see the results of what we have been discussing. Yes, and that is a truly matter because we don't just want to hear a lot of stuff like there is a woman one, and we don't want to just witness a small number of women who just like, for example, who have succeeded. We just to see a majority, a highly number of women. We just want to celebrate the high number of women, just not a single woman out there like someone do they think this, but we just celebrate them as whole. And the same time, we as a men, we just to be part of women's success. And that is where we believe the success as whole will come. So I believe working men and women together will create the betterment of the community as whole. Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah. So, like, I'm glad to have you here, and I'm very sure that whoever comes across this our podcast on YouTube channel or is even watching right now is going to be so glad. So, Mr. Dennis, I don't know, do you have anything to tell us before we end the session?
Okay, thank you. I hope clear and loud enough.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Anna, and thank you so much, Norbeth, as well, for this amazing paper. I'm proud I was part of the first few people to be able to take a read through it. And I thank the work that you did in Tanzania, especially in your research period, and also the network that you've done with the LAC, as the women legal that group that you were able to do all this work with. I think it's a very great work, and it gives that voice that is required within our continent, especially for our women and for our ladies here. You know, the issues that you've really highlighted in the paper, I think they cut across so many of our countries, like Anna was also sharing on what is happening on the end there. So when you go to any other African country, you won't think it's a continent. You think that it's the same country. So I mean, we've to keep on voicing all these voices that we have. Um, we've to keep on making them as loud as possible through what you're doing by writing, through what we keep on doing also with these podcasts. Too many people will be watching it on YouTube. So with that planting of the seed that you plant, it will always grow, it will always grow with the time. You just give it time and it will grow. So we really really fortunate that you were able to highlight these issues within that society in Tanzania and by extension within the continent. And we very certain things gonna change in many ways with this writing. And just looking at there's a time sometime last year, the Maasai people of Tanzania, we share Kenya and Tanzania as the Maasai. They had a very big meeting somewhere, I think, in Kilimanjaro there. And all these issues about land were coming up very clearly. And I think it is not a, a cause, it is not a big deal for women to own land. like you said, Norbeth, we all created in the same image and likeness as equal beings. So I think it is time we change things out here and be able to look at this dynamic world and be able to ensure that at least the world becomes a better place for everyone. So I'm glad, and also thank you for this paper. It's actually just a good news for you. It's actually getting some good reviews. It's getting some good reading. Just been I just saw it. What's it's getting very good reading downloads on the on from our host. It's hosted by the Kennesaw State University, and it's getting some good download and reviews. So I think it's you can see it's making impact, and this is what we want for many other young people out there, for so many other researchers and policymakers who want to be able to make this impact across the globe. Because now this was just intended for the for Tanzania, but it's now making that global impact. So it's just to encourage you to keep on going. Don't say this one has made the mark, but keep on. I'm hoping to see your next paper as we preparing for our next volume 6 and also for our next new academic journal. So just looking forward on that, because I know you are a policy maker, you are a great man on advocacy. So thank you so much, Norbeth, for that great work that you put there. And looking forward to what next. And thank you so much, Anna, for the discussions that you've been conducting, and looking forward to the next one. So thank you so much, and much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been
All
a
right.
great discussion. Thank you so much.
Yeah.